Good evening, everybody, and thanks for joining us. I'm Sean Mooney.
And I'm Amanda Gomez. In a little less than a month, Arizona is scheduled to carry out its first execution in nearly 8 years.
Tonight, the state attorney general says Arizona is ready as attorneys for the man who faces the death penalty try to stop the execution. News
4 Tucson's Eric Fink is here in studio with both sides of the issue tonight.
Amanda, Sean, Clarence Dixon was convicted of the 1978 murder of 21-year-old Dina Bowden. 44 years later, Arizona Attorney General Mark Brnovich says it's time. Dixon's death warrant was issued, and an execution date is set for May 11th. It would be the first execution carried out by the state of Arizona since 2014, and one death penalty expert has concerns.
We do these not only because justice demands it, but because ultimately people that commit these types of crimes deserve the ultimate punishment.
After almost an 8-year pause, Attorney General Mark Brnovich says Arizona is ready to resume executions. In 2014, Joseph Wood was the last inmate on Arizona's death row to be executed. It was lethal injection. The process took almost 2 hours, and Wood's lawyers argued the execution was botched, something Brnovich denies.
There was an independent examination, a medical examiner, and there is no facts, no evidence that that defendant who was put to death suffered in any way. And in fact, he was sedated the whole time.
On May 11th, Clarence Dixon is set to be put to death for a murder of a young woman he was convicted of killing 44 years ago. His lawyers just filed a motion to stop the execution, saying it's unconstitutional because Dixon is mentally incompetent. Robert Dunham is the executive director of the Death Penalty Information Center.
Just before the murder, he was found legally insane. He was acquitted of a prior offense by later Justice Sandra Day O'Connor. And at the time, she found him not guilty by reason of insanity. He had paranoid schizophrenia at that time.
Dunham argues there are problems with the way Arizona carries out the death penalty.
From the provision of counsel to very questionable appeals. Clarence Dixon's case is an example of that. This is an individual who was severely mentally ill at the time of the trial. His jury never knew about it. The court allowed him to represent himself.
Because Dina Bowden's murder took place in 1978, Dixon still has a little time to decide whether he wants to die by lethal injection or lethal gas. As his lawyers and opponents look for alternatives, Brnovich stands by the state's decision.
The fact that this has taken decades, literally decades, for these families to receive closure, I think is heartbreaking to me.
It's been more than 4 decades. That's something that is going to create continuing pain for the victim's family. And giving this enough time to get it right may mean that the execution doesn't go forward in a month.
Right now, there are 112 death row inmates here in Arizona. 20 have exhausted all appeals. I'm Eric Fink, News 4, Tucson.